folks. It is the Burt Rubber Racing Podcast. Why did I have a little mental lapse there? And I am your host today. We're switching roles. Zach McAdoo here with Henry John. How you doing there, Henry?
I am doing great, Zach. It has been a wild week of racing this past weekend at Talladega. And hey, we got another one, at least in terms of race name, that I'm looking forward to previewing with you here today. So, and you know, I'm excited to see how you do in the host role. Kind of fun to switch things up every now and then.
Yeah, less than a minute, we've already made a mistake. Yeah, we're here, episode 11. We are at the Denny Hamlin episode. Hopefully, we end up winning a championship before he does. We don't know, though. Follow us. Follow Flurry Sports, YouTube, Twitter, Flurry Sports Podcast Network. Follow me at ZT McAdoo. Follow him at Hang Time Sports. And yes,
don't follow me.
Yes, he has like Henry has alluded to, we are here. It is Busch week.
Wait for it.
Busch. Definitely the one that went Busch.
Definitely.
The Buschy McBusch race 400 at Kansas. We will get into that later, but right now we're going to start in with last week. Yeah, we have Talladega. I'll ask you about how you felt about the race later, but for right now, we're going to start before the green flag. Every Toyota driver except Kyle Busch dropped to the back. Do you feel like it was a move like they tried to do, like it was scheduled to move them all to the back, or do you think this was all like NASCAR actually found something in?
You know, it's a great question because everyone but Kyle Busch went backwards, right? And I was thinking to myself, man, every single Toyota in the field, you're telling me, had something that they did post pre-race inspection that got them in trouble or whatever that NASCAR noticed, and they were going to move them back. But then they were all right back in the front. And so I sort of asked myself that question when I saw the penalties handed out, and Denny Hamlin, of course, was on the pole, and he went to the back. Before the competition caution, Toyota had, I think, 3 cars right back in the top 5. Bubba Wallace started at the very tail end, and he was out front before the competition caution for a lap or so. So I have to say no, because they got back up there really dang quick for some guys who wanted to start in the back. I don't know. Maybe they were just trying to show off. Who knows? But
yeah, the Toyotas seemed bad fast at the start. But one guy who didn't seem bad fast at all during the race, Kyle Larson, who this seemed like a critical team mistake that someone needs to be reprimanded for. They left a shipping packer in his car, causing his car to overheat, and I think he was out of the race by lap 5 because of an engine expiration. What are your thoughts on that?
Zach, I have no idea how this happens, okay? I mean, I know we don't have practice this year. We don't have qualifying, but that's just basic pre-race. You know, you're going over the car and you're getting it set to run. So, yeah, it was a short day for the Hendrick Motorsports 5. Kind of maybe coming back down to earth a little bit after that dominant start to the season where we saw them lead so many laps, and they really should have had, I think, more than one race win in there too, Atlanta. But this was, yeah, there's really no excuse, I don't think, to let that slide on my end. So I haven't seen anything in terms of reports coming out of the Hendrick garage. I don't know if you have about what went down after it. Probably we might not even see that sort of thing anyway. But, yeah, not a good look.
No, and I feel like Hendrick's one of those teams that they'd keep it in-house. I don't think that they'd let anything slip like this. Then, at the end of the stage, coming into turn 3, we get a wreck, and boy, was this a wild one. This one made me jump right up in my chair, just like, holy, you know what. Joey Logano goes over, and lands on his roof. What were your takes about the crash?
I mean, NASCAR photo of the year. Some of the pictures of it were just absolutely insane. Obviously, none being better than the view riding aboard the in-car cam in Bubba Wallace's car. Joey Logano is upside down in the 22, and practically came down on the hood of Bubba Wallace in the 23. Somehow the car actually, obviously made contact. It was inevitable that was going to happen just watching the camera angle. And it was really just a scratch. They kind of, fixed it up, and Wallace was fine. Solid day for him, all things considered. He was running out front a lot of the race after the fact. But, man, if somehow you haven't seen the crash, or if you're just a casual NASCAR fan, sports fan, and haven't taken it in, I don't know how you would miss a race at Talladega if you're a casual fan anyway. But go back and check that out. And I'm curious to kind of talk more about Logano's comments afterward and throughout the week here with you when we get to the news segment later in the show, because I'm going to see how our opinions might differ there a little bit. So,
well, I was actually get to that after I made what I was going to say here, and we were about we were about a few feet from seeing another Ryan Newman wreck from the Daytona 500. I feel like if Wallace doesn't miss Logano like he did, we might be seeing Logano out for a couple weeks. And I know there's a lot of people that hate on Wallace, but you have to give him credit for that. Whether your hatred's fair or not, you have to give him credit for the wreck avoidance there, of just getting hit by the spoiler that he had. There was nothing he could really do. But yeah, and then Joey goes on after he gets out of the infield care center, makes some comments about how this needs to stop. You and I talked about this a little bit. Why don't you tell the folks what you told me a little bit?
All right. So when we were talking about this, just to let the audience into our pre-show conversation a little bit, I guess, off air, you said to me, Logano is right. His points are accurate. And I agree with you. But here's my problem. Okay. NASCAR, the last few years, we've seen a lot of safety changes be made, both to the cars, to the tracks, everything, in order to have the outcomes, I guess, of wrecks like this be less severe. And we can go look back at Ryan Newman, even Dale Earnhardt died super speedway racing. So we've seen this in the past. We've seen NASCAR make a lot of changes. Logano is correct that this is by far the most dangerous, one of the two most dangerous tracks in the sport, right? That's why the fans love it, though. Super speedways promote exciting racing. And I guess where I get a little agitated is, yes, he wants to be an advocate for change and all of that, and that's great. And actually in his quotes from this week, just digging into it a little more, and even comments post-race, even after his immediate comments after the wreck on an interview with Sirius XM NASCAR radio, he basically just said, we want to continue to make our sport better, and that they have. And also his belief and the general belief around NASCAR that the next gen car is going to make safety measures even better starting next year. But then the fact, we have 2 more super speedway races this year and we can't keep going on like this. That I don't know. Joey, if you don't want to race the super speedways, don't race, right? We see drivers pull up for Talladega and Daytona only because it levels the playing field, and that's their style of racing. We see drivers excel on these tracks. It's an even playing field. It's exciting racing. I don't know that I can really get behind wholesale changes. The other thing I need to just get off my chest here a little bit, because it did fire me up a little bit, and maybe this is, the passion I have for Talladega. I don't want to see anyone rip on this track, okay? I don't want to see anyone talk down on these races. I get it. There's a concern. But the technology, right, that NASCAR's been putting on these cars, NASCARs are meant to turn left. So the fact that when Logano was bumped and his car turned left going down the track as he was running high at that time, right, that is why the air flaps on the hood and the roof didn't necessarily deploy like they would if he got bumped going to the right. So unless you're going to tell me you're going to design an air flap that has the technology to know when it's making a proper left turn and when it's not, I don't know how you avoid one where you're going back down the track. I just have a tough time with it because all of the advancements are there. And yes, the wreck happened. Yes, it looked bad. It also looked awesome at the same time. When you look at the stills and such of it, I think it just, as a fan, you have to have everything in perspective. And as a driver, you have to know what you're getting into. Wow, that was a rant. Sorry I got on a soapbox, but you can feel free to tear me apart because I feel like this is one of the most controversial, almost in a way, topics in the sport. Because as fans, you're right there with me. I know you love Talladega and Daytona. I don't ever want to see this type of racing go away. But at the same time, I don't want to see people killed either. And I think the sport has come a long ways. And I just don't know where the line is for Logano saying we need more and more and more change. But look at baseball. At what point does change take away from the sport and the product itself? I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree with Logano immediately when he made the comments like, yeah, this is probably not the way we're going to go back to my comments about how Wallace avoided Logano. But then I watched a YouTube video from the Iceberg. Credit to him because I'm going to use some of his takes here. The cars used to go slower, and they still got hurt. It's all about the safety in the cars. And when Joey was landing on his head in the car, he said the roll bar, not roll bar, something hit him in the head, and that, I mean, maybe work on that a little bit to make sure like that they stick and not just come in. But I mean, it's going to be hard to do when you have a 2-ton car coming down on you. But something needs to happen, I guess. And maybe Logano's going to be the one to lead the charge because put up or shut up. You're going to make these comments, help out. That wreck would lead to your boy, Matty D, getting his first career stage win. Hype him up a little bit.
I mean, other than the end of the race, which we're going to get to eventually, it's an awesome day from Matt DiBenedetto. I threw him in the article as the guy I thought was going to win this thing 30-1. I was like, let's go for the gusto here. And we came right down to it in overtime. Love to see him get the stage win. Honestly, love to see DiBenedetto really just string together back-to-back top 10 finishes after the start to the year that they had. Didn't happen this week. I mean, what's it going to take for this guy, right? Maybe he's just not going to be the one who gets Wood Brothers Racing their 100th win ever in Cup. But, man, solid showing all day, all things considered for DiBenedetto. So he's got to be happy. And, they'll go back to work. They'll stay hungry.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we get into stage 2. And while pit stops are going on, Denny Hamlin gets one pit road penalty, comes back down pit road, gets a second pit road speeding penalty. I mean,
have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen someone get a penalty serving a pass-through penalty? Because I couldn't think of one.
It's happened before because I remember they used to have to like park it in their pits.
I'm sure it has. I couldn't think of one off the top of my head. I'm like, wow. But it definitely, I think, was something with brakes with him for sure, because he was saying on the radio that he couldn't stop it, and then to have it happen again where he was too fast entering, that was an issue with the car, I think, for sure, and it just really kind of set them behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, but then you have to listen to your crew chief. Hey, this is the same brakes we've had every super speedway race since I've been your crew chief, so you can't. It's not the car; it could be him. So I mean. Listen, we're fans. We have to listen to both sides here, and so I'm going to throw in Chris Gabehart here. But he would go down a lap, and he is super aggressive at these tracks. He tries to get his lap back, and in the process gets involved in a wreck with Martin Truex Jr. and the rest of the Hendrick boys. Am I crazy to think why not just wait for the end of the stage to get your lap back instead of just trying to risk it like that?
No, you're not. And man, it's tough. I get why Denny Hamlin was out there racing to unlap himself, and he damn near did, right? I believe he even got out in front of the entire pack at one point. Bubba Wallace wasn't making it easy on him up there. I don't know how that owner-driver relationship might settle things, but we talked about it last week on the show, right? Hamlin should have 3 wins by now, at least. It feels like he has none. where is this going to take the JGR number 11 team? Where's it going to take Hamlin's psyche? Then you have 2 speeding penalties on pit road. You go a lap down. I can see where maybe he got a little over aggressive because all he really had to do was stay ahead of guys. I believe at that point it was maybe Bilicki and who knows who else who were a lap down, and you're going to get the free pass anyway with the stage coming to the end. Maybe a little overzealous there, and I guess hindsight is 2020 when we're sitting here breaking it down Monday morning quarterback style 4 days later. But yeah, I kind of questioned it myself because it really would not have been that hard, I don't think, for him to be up with the lead draft and just make sure you stay ahead of some Rick Ware Racing boys, and we're not going back down that road this week.
No comment. I forgot to put that in there, but I'll put that in our news when we get there. But
oh no,
maybe me because I had Hamlin in my DFS lineup. I had Hamlin winning this week. Maybe I was just play it safe. You're getting your lap back, and
I told you there was no value there. It's a super speedway. You're going to say less than 7-1. I mean, I know he's the hot guy. I'm not trying to totally just take a shard on your picks here, but you can't rationally, I don't think, bet a guy to win at Talladega or Daytona at anything less than 8-1. And even at that point, I still don't want the favorites in the race.
Look, I promise you, I will pick a race winner at either of the tapered spacer tracks before you do. Let's get it. I will put. We'll talk about that later. But for right now,
whoa! All right, we are cutting that segment. We are saving that audio. We might even put money on this.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
I'm game. Let's go. But for now,
right.
I was a little mad at Hamlin. That seemed like very stupid because you feel like if he gets his lap back, he can just keep coming down pit road, put more gas in it, especially with the last stage being a fuel run like it was. Spoiler. But it just seemed like dumb to me. Like, why would he do that? I don't know. Hamlin, I know he's very aggressive at this track, but you gotta play this track smarter than what he did. But his boy, Bubba Wallace, his driver, in the number 23 DoorDash Toyota, who avoided the Joey Logano wreck, gets his first career stage win. 2 first stage wins in a Talladega race. Did you feel like we might have our first a new guy get a win here?
I was open. I sure as heck thought it was going to be a first-time winner this year, looking at the 8 we had prior to Talladega, and then just what happened to Hamlin. But I was all game for seeing a surprise victory as well, just in terms of career. And to Benedetto, obviously, I was all in on him, but I thought there were a lot of other guys who could have were running well and could have also emerged ahead of both he or Bubba in the final run. So definitely set up for an interesting third stage.
Yeah, and in said third stage, holy, I cannot talk today. We had guys make this into a fuel run after I think it was a Quinn Houff caution with like 17 to go.
Choo choo.
Yeah, I'm glad I missed a little bit of that, but we had guys try to manage our fuel situation with this. We had Matt DiBenedetto leading with 5 to go. Caution, Martin Truex Jr. blows a tire and has his tire carcass left on the track. I would throw it to you before I go rant mode.
Oh, I know what's coming. And you're fully allowed to go rant mode because Martin Truex Jr. is running in the top 5. I believe, what did we have? Was it the Houff caution that with like 20 or something to go? So something happened. Truex is running up front, right? And you see him drop to the back. He's got a tire going down. That's clear, okay? And he didn't go on pit road. I don't know why. I have no grounds to defend him here whatsoever. He was literally limping around on the bottom apron, and for whatever reason did not pull into the pits. And shortly after he drove by pit road, the tire popped off, and you got to have a caution for debris at that point. So, Zach, Have at it, my man. Because I got
The
nothing
fact-
for you here.
The absolute fact that he wasn't penalized for this, for causing a caution like this. It's one thing if you're coming off of turn 4 and it's about to come off, and then that happens. But he knew going into turn 3 it was down. What the hell are you doing? Get off! You're done. Come on. You're not gonna make it back. You're not gonna make it back around. You're already gonna get lapped.
You're gonna get lapped anyway if you're going that slow.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to do? Finish the race? You might as well go in and pit and get a new tire.
You're limping around the track for 4 laps. How stupid can you be? And you want to bitch and complain about other drivers racing you the way they do? Get the hell out of here! No more complaining out of you, MTJ. Okay,
Yeah.
ran over. I wanted to go so much more, but
He's got 2 wins and no one else does this year. Just saying.
Okay, overtime. Matty D, he had it. Had the lead going in 2 laps to go. Chose the wrong lane coming into the final lap. That's when Kozlowski got to the bottom, and that would pretty much do it. Brad Kozlowski gets the best of the field, would get the win. It's got another heartbreaker for Matty D. As what you said, he came in 5th, right?
He did. On the unofficial scoring, he was 6th, and then it got corrected to finishing 5th. But, in DiBenedetto's defense, I don't really know what you do there, right? Like, you see Blaney's going to make a run on the outside. You got your 2 Penske pseudo teammates that are still left in the race behind you. So, yeah, you're working together, but also it's coming down to it, and you're all trying to win. Now, again, looking back at it in hindsight, the outside run was not quite as strong as it kind of looked coming toward the start-finish line when he pulled up to block it. And as Kozlowski said on his post-race interview, like, what did you see when the inside lane opened up? And he's just like, Merry Christmas, right? Like, it was there for the taking. You got McDowell behind you pushing. McDowell was strong all day. Damn near won a second super speedway race here. And so my heart almost aches for DiBenedetto because, like, yeah, I was on him as a race winner this week as a 30-1 shot. But I just don't know how many more times he's going to come so close. And I can't really blame him too much for making the move he did, because when at the time it looked like the outside had a run. I think, though, if he had stuck to the inside, we might have a very different result here. I don't know if you saw that the same way. Curious to hear your thoughts on it, I guess, because I don't know if the outside was ever coming.
With going into turn 3 with 2 to go, it was coming. When I was watching the replay today, and that's why I think he went high, because even his body goes up to try to block Blaney, and I feel like that's what they're going off of is with a lap and a half to go. They were thinking, yeah, this run's coming. They're gonna have a good as push as what they did the last lap. It didn't work out for him. And then they even had another chance with Reddick, and I'm going to go in on Reddick a little bit here because why not? I don't know.
Surprised.
I don't know what he was thinking. Why not push Blaney instead of go up? I understand. Buescher's coming, but he's not even close. You had a better shot at pushing Blaney into Benedetto and hope for a better chance there, but I don't know. It all just seemed like a bad train of decisions on the final lap for many guys.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, right? It felt like we saw the pack break up a little bit outside of, McDowell was still content in his role there as a pusher and coming down to the wire. We kind of saw him do the same thing at Daytona, right? He wasn't out in front on the final lap at Daytona for the first half of the lap, and the seas parted before him in the end, and it just so happened that the situation didn't allow that to happen here this time. But, I think we have to also talk about Kozlowski a little bit. Like, man, this guy's really dang good at Talladega. I don't know. I don't know how else you put it. Like, when you go to these super speedway tracks, Team Penske has got to be the favorites. And if they're not, they are worth a look wherever they are. Obviously, this week they weren't. Denny Hamlin was the favorite, given how he's running. Sure, he's great at these tracks also, maybe a little more of a Daytona guy. I don't know. But Team Penske knows how to race here. They know how to win here. And even when they're not winning, they know how to be there at the end. And they would have won both of these super speedway races so far this year. Keselowski very well could have won both of them himself had they not taken each other out at Daytona. So hats off to Team Penske. They know what they're doing. And I think to Benedetto, too, running with the Wood brothers, and even looking ahead to next year when Cindric steps into that car, the Wood brothers are also always going to be in play just because of that pseudo alliance that they have. And even with Logano out of the race, it looked great again. Keselowski has tied for the most wins all time now at Talladega? Do I have that
He's
right?
got 6. I don't know. I thought Earnhardt.
Yep, so 6.
had-
So he's tied with Gordon, I believe, and Earnhardt for the most all time at Talladega, which
I thought Earnhardt had more.
that's insane.
Yeah, he's gonna get another one here. There's no way he doesn't break the record for most career Talladega wins. As much as you hate people want to hate on Keselowski, you can't deny how good he is here at Talladega.
Also, the American flag and the burnout at Talladega, it just looks so right after.
Yeah.
So I was all for it.
Yeah, but the Cup Series was not the only series to race at Talladega this weekend. We also had the Xfinity Series on Saturday, and it was a great race. I just didn't know what points we need to bring up here, besides the fact that you had Justin Haley winning Stage 1, Noah Gragson winning Stage 2, both of them adding to their playoff point totals. Is there anything you want to add before we get into our little final bullet points there?
I don't think so. I'm not really too sure. So the Xfinity stages 1 and 2 are only 25 laps, right? So green flag pit stops are out of the equation until the final stage. Can't say I'm a big fan of that, but I get it, when the race is shorter itself. But yeah, it was entertaining. I thought you saw some different drivers taking different strategies. And I mean, Zach alluded to these final bullet points, and I can't wait to get into the race winner and specifically the team of the race winner. So,
yeah, but I'm actually more a fan of that because I'd rather have a longer third stage than just 3 equal stages, like what the Cup Series is kind of doing. I don't like how they're changing it, but like we alluded to, the clouds kind of started to roll in about the end of Stage 2. The skies got darker. You knew weather was going to become a factor in this one. When? It would happen when Joe Graff Jr. would blow a tire, causing a wreck involving Ty Dillon and a bunch of others. That would be the end of the day because 4 laps under caution, the skies opened up, and Jeb Burton, please clap, would get his first career NXS championship, Jesus Christ. Win. Henry, take it away before I mess up again.
Race win. First career Xfinity race win for Jeb Burton. This goes all the way back to a conversation we had on this very show back, I don't know, what was it, the 2nd or 3rd episode maybe? Would all of the Kaulig racing drivers find their way into the Xfinity Series playoffs this year? Would they all be able to win a race? We said, yeah, definitely Allmendinger can do it. He already did. Definitely Haley can do it. Jeb Burton was the one we weren't so sure, and Jeb Burton finally gets it done. So it was great to see him go to victory lane. I know it probably wasn't how he wanted to. It wasn't how, obviously, anyone watching the race wanted it to with the weather rolling in. But edging out Austin Cindric when that caution came out, I'm not quite sure what Fox Sports was doing when they originally scored Cindric as the leader on the caution. I don't know how that happened in their unofficial results. So that was just kind of a funny point to see. But yeah, Jeb Burton gets it done. And I think now you're just looking at Kaulig Racing continuing on what they're doing in the Xfinity Series, but they've got bigger and better plans. And we didn't even touch on it from the Cup race, Zach. Kaz Grala finished in 6th. So that was the guy that they flipped with Benedetto. So Kaz Grala, we almost came on here and said that he had a top 5 before they changed those results in the aftermath. What a weekend. for Matt Collig and Collig Racing as a whole. Of course, Gralla only running a few races. It might only be the super speedways for them this year, but I gave myself a little pat on the back too, because I did mention his name in DFS, even though we decided he was a little overpriced, but he would have got you a nice day for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But like we've alluded to before, DEI is back, and this time their name is Kaulig Racing in the Xfinity Series. But will they also be like DEI in the Cup Series? That could be seen in the future when Kaulig Racing becomes a 2022 team. They announced this week that they do have plans to at least one car in the Cup Series. I'm happy about this. How can you not be happy about another team? Especially, they've looked very competitive this year. I mean, is there any downfall to this?
I don't know how you can say there's a downfall, right? Like these guys have looked awesome at the Xfinity level, and you've got drivers to choose from to the point where they're not even committing to it just being one full-time car. So there very well could be two full-time Kaulig cars out there if Matt Kaulig wants to get uber aggressive here, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did, based on how their Xfinity seasons have been going. But Allmendinger and Gralla would both be in contention to run the full-time car next year. Obviously, you've got Haley and Burton there as well. Justin Haley turned down a full-time Cup gig this year to stick with Kaulig, and I think that says a lot about what they're building at the Xfinity level and just as an organization in general. So they've got some more part-time races up there this year to iron out some kinks, and they'll be ready to roll when the next-gen car is out next year. So this is good stuff. Speaking
of said next-gen car,
I know the transitions are like flawless here on this show.
I know, we're making it work today. There is a NASCAR employee in hot water who probably just ruined his career for this, but we us fans like it. A NASCAR employee has leaked the next-gen cars, a picture of it. We don't know what cars they're going to be. We kind of like, there have been some Twitter replies and whatnot saying what they think it'll be, but there is a picture out that has leaked the way they look. I think they look nice. Henry, what about you?
I mean, these things look awesome. I don't know what pictures at all that you have seen, but the one that blew up on Reddit, man, you guys as fans, go check it out because these things look sick. And of course, Zach alluding to this employee being in hot water. We don't even know if he's an employee anymore at this point. That's definitely news you wouldn't see when you search NASCAR news to prepare for a Burnt Rubber Racing podcast episode, whether the employee who leaked the photos got fired or not. Wouldn't surprise me if he already has been. But so NASCAR had, of course, the great reveal of the next-gen cars slated for, I think, next week, right? In Charlotte. 5th. Yeah, so just after this weekend's races. And now some people have already sort of seen what the cars look like. So we're all here for a little juicy preview. And, I guess we'll get the 360 version next week when they actually reveal them. But they look hot. There are some hot rods.
Yeah, they look amazing. But the final bullet point that I have touched on earlier, I am now a part of. I think he's still awaiting his approval. We are now part of the NASCAR media, so we will have more stuff to talk about with all the drivers and whatnot, post race stuff. I feel like we finally made it. This should be cool going forward for this show.
Yeah, so we appreciate you guys listening, tuning in each week, and catching us, whether it's live or on the podcast, which is really, why we're doing this. The audio version, this live version is painful to watch at times for sure, but we're excited to have more content. I mean, shoot, Zach, if we're going to have more information, at what point are we going to have to do a second episode each week? I don't know. We might be getting there if we're going to be going 2 hours. We can't do that. So might be breaking this thing up. So stay tuned. We got more big stuff ahead.
Look, the people like to tune in for the hair, okay? But, all right, now it's time for this.
I pride myself in not having a lot of that, so.
All right, it's now time to get into this weekend's race, the Buschy McBusch Race 400. How did this name get its race? How did this race get its name, Henry?
How did its race get its name? Well, So this is the first year that Busch Beer is the title sponsor for the Spring Kansas race, and they put the name of the race up to a fan contest. So fans were able to submit their choices or their ideas for the race name. You paid $1, and all proceeds from the contest went to the nonprofit charity Farm Rescue. So a good cause there. Unfortunately, the submissions that Zach and I sent in did not get chosen, but that is how we wound up with a Buschy McBusch Race 400 this Sunday at Kansas Speedway. And also one other fact that I had completely forgotten about. So this race has changed sponsors, right? It's obviously being the first year that Busch Beer is the title sponsor, but this has formerly been known as the SpongeBob SquarePants 400 back in 2015 when Nickelodeon was the title sponsor for the race. So arguably the wildest and wackiest race in terms of names in the Cup Series on an annual basis, you might say. Everything is simple from the STP 400 to Buschy McBusch.
Yeah, it was a long road to get that name, and man,
but a good one too. Like we like to see, that's a good cause that Busch is donating to. So
yeah, I have no problem donating the $1 for the loser that we try to promote here.
I'd love to see some of the other submissions though. Like what was turned down in favor of Buschy McBusch? Like, did you catch any of those at all?
I don't remember what the other 3 for the fan vote were. There was 4 that they put up to a fan vote, and Busch McBusch race was the first one I remember. It was the only one I remember.
Missed the fan vote, so whoops.
Yeah, what Busch fan you are? But anyways,
I got the flannel guys.
Anyways, here we are. It is now time to get deep dive into Kansas. It was built in 2001. NASCAR first race there with the One Protection 400 in 2001. NASCAR actually posted that race today. It is a 1.5 mile D-shaped oval with the turns banked between 17 to 20 degrees. The higher you go up the track, the more banked it is. Is there anything I'm missing? Oh yeah, the track has lights ever since 2011, I want to say.
Yeah, and this race has been run under the lights, I think, every year since they put those in up until now, right?
Yes, for the first time since 2013, the spring race will be ran under the daylight.
Yeah, so a little interesting twist there. And then in terms of just other handicapping notes, kind of to keep in mind, Kentucky Speedway is off the schedule this year in favor of a second race at Atlanta, but Kansas is pretty similar, so we can use past Kentucky results kind of to get a feel of who's strong at this type of mile and a half surface. Obviously, most of the tracks that the Cup Series runs on are 1.5 mile ovals. It was last repaved in 2012, so there's not a whole lot of tire wear here compared to some other tracks that are comparable in terms of length and shape. And typically drivers and teams that have pretty strong just raw speed in general and some favorable historical statistics as well are the ones who seem to do well here. So a little bit of a cream rises to the top track for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, should we get into DFS now, or should we give it? Or do you want to get into your betting first?
No, we'll do DFS. Why not?
All right.
What do you got for us this week?
Or
are you gonna put the spotlight on me because we flipped roles here?
No, I had to do this right before we got on here. So this week I feel like you are gonna want to have Martin Truex Jr. in your lineup. I bitched about him earlier. He will be. I feel like he should be up front this week, just like Joey Logano. Hamlin won here last year, not Truex, but Logano is one of the last time they were here. He should come up from the back. He starts 29th because of his wreck at Talladega. He should work his way to the front. Who else? I think Bowman's going to have should come back to the front after a mishap last week with his wreck with his teammates. And then your value play this week, I feel like it's got to be Ross Chastain. $5,500. I think I just looked at it. Yeah, he's got to come. He's got to come to earth at some point. He has not been the guy that he should have been coming up here, and Chip Ganassi knows it. I think he knows it. Kansas should be a track where he gets back on track, and maybe he gets you some points here. I'm taking the chance on him this week. Don't yell at me if he does.
I'm not going to yell at you because Chastain's coming off what I think we both would agree is a strong run. I know it didn't quite end the way that they wanted to at Talladega, but he's out front leading some laps. So potentially some momentum there to carry over into this week. I think I would have to agree with a lot of those names, particularly Alex Bowman and Denny Hamlin. When we're talking about DFS, knowing you're going to gain a point for a position gained, and of course the formula weighs heavily into last week's results, right? So both of those guys wreck out or just don't finish well at all, and they're going to be starting back. They're going to have positions to gain. Both of those guys average finish in the last 6 races at Kansas is under 9. Of course, Hamlin won this race last year. So some things to keep in mind there with those guys for sure. Like you said, Truex averages a finish of 7.33 over the last 6, 5 top 10s and 3 top 5s. So again, going back to that whole cream and raw speed kind of rising to the top deal here at Kansas, Kyle Larson would be a one I might keep an eye on as well, knowing that he is definitely not starting well, and he's going to pass several guys, I would assume, pretty quickly. He missed last year, but average finish of 7.25 in his 4 starts of the last 6 races at Kansas. In terms of value play, I got to ask you, what do you think about Eric Jones, though? And now I know there's an equipment switch from JGR to Richard Petty Motorsports, but he was up there at the end last week at Talladega. Again, the last lap crash, not the finish they hoped for. Took a bit of a gamble there with the pit strategy, I think, as well. That might have backfired on them a little bit. But Eric Jones is a solid average run at Kansas. So where would he be priced at, and would it be worth it, I think, for you?
He's at 7,000. I feel like I'd rather have Bubba at that price point than Eric Jones. Really? Yeah, I just don't. Jones starts 27th, but it's just I feel like he's not going to be top 10 material like Bubba has a chance to be, and so I gotta maybe fade Jones at 7,000. Equipment,
I think, being your main.
Yeah, absolutely.
Main holdback, just the change in equipment.
Yeah,
I hear you.
With RPM, they're not the JGR, they're not the Hendrick Motorsports. They're not going to keep up with the rest of them, and so that's why I kind of got to be like, yeah, Jones, you might have talent, but the equipment's not there. So here we go. Your time to shine.
What about guys to fade that are priced high though? Because we got to get some fade talk in here too. I want to see who we're piling on, and then I have a name I have to ask you about actually too.
All right, I got to fade Brad. 12,500. He starts first. I don't feel like he's going to finish there. You have other guys behind him who are going to probably have more points, like a Bowman, like a Logano, who are going to probably get, like I said, you're going to get more points than him. I got to go maybe fade Byron. This is tough for me.
That's a dangerous move this year.
Yeah, Byron's been very good this year, but he starts second. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of guys coming from the back who are going to end up in front of him. And Byron, he might not get a top 10. I honestly feel like he's going to fall out of the top 10, and he's not going to get you those points.
He's got 8 of them this year, right? He's right up there with Hamlin in terms of top 10s, not top 5s. But yeah, Byron's a dangerous name to fade, but at the same time, I do understand it. So I don't know. Will he have the Hendrick power to stay up there? But I had to ask you about Kevin Harvick. This is the Busch race, right? Harvick runs, I think, definitely exceeds our expectations at Talladega. I feel like when we've been high on him or tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, if Stewart Haas has struggled this year, he's let us down. And then when we've said, probably a good week to stay away, he surprises
us. Yeah.
So what are you doing with him? Because he's going to have that good starting spot. And really, I know a lot of people, kind of like a trend, just amongst analysts and in the NASCAR world this week is Harvick ready to bust out here in the month of May and maybe starting with the Buschy McBusch this weekend? Wouldn't that be fitting?
Yeah, Harvick. He should have had the win here last was it October, November? No, it's October because. Whatever.
Last fall. Just call it the
last
fall.
fall. Who cares? But due to circumstances, he couldn't get past Logano, and that's more due to the fact of the package that they run at Kansas. I believe they run the same package this race, if I'm not mistaken. I have no idea. So
I don't think I heard anything about it changing. Yeah,
it's not a bad decision to put him in. However, I don't, because like I said, the starting position isn't there. So unless he's going to lead a lot of you feel like he's going to lead a lot of laps, it's not worth it.
I hear you, and I know for most of the listeners listening to the audio version, that was visibly painful for Zach to say on his face. But I'll counteract the argument just to play devil's advocate a little bit. Second best average finish at Kansas in the last 6 races, 6.83. Harvick's got a win, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s in there. He's led more laps than anyone, 353. And when we're looking in terms of average driver rating, well, he tops that list, and it really isn't that close. 120.6 average rating over the last 6. Runner-up would be Larson at 108.3. Of course, his is a 4-race sample size. I don't know. Harvick, Busch, you sure? You sure you're leaving him out?
I might have to change my lineup, but yeah, for now, it's gonna be tough. Because now you have to figure out who you're gonna take out to put in Harvick when it comes to that, and I'm already laying on money.
I think you need to have a separate Kevin Harvick section. Like, follow up on this in your DFS article, because I gotta know which way I gotta know which way you ultimately go. Like, this is the Busch race, so we can have a special Kevin Harvick section and then just let everyone know what you ultimately decide.
God, I hate that idea. I hate that. I love that idea.
That hates me right now.
Yeah, way to go, Busch guy.
Right, buddy.
So you're betting. Who are your plays this week?
All right, so plays. I think the best way to get into a play is to kind of look at some of the odds first. So again, we see Denny Hamlin, race favorite, plus 550. However, not far behind is Kyle Larson. I thought that was an interesting name to have the second shortest odds on the board. At 6-1 at DraftKings. We got Truex 7-1, Brad K plus 850, Elliott, Harvick, and Logano are all 9-1. And then we got the third Team Penske driver in there, up there as well. Ryan Blaney is 10-1. So those are your favorites. When I look at those favorites, I almost say I really want to get behind Harvick at 9-1 in terms of race favorites. And I know I just put you on the spot with him in DFS, and I know that you're trying to make up your mind, but it would just be like Buschy McBusch race. It feels right. We just ran through his stats here at Kansas. He's got a win in the last 6. He really should have won here last fall, like you talked about. Stewart-Haas can't be running as bad as they were over the first portion of the season. But the second part of that statement for me is, as bad as Stewart-Haas has been, and as bad as Kevin Harvick has been relative to Kevin Harvick expectations, has he really been that bad? So when I was breaking down stats and such for the NASCAR Cup Series stats and standings article that went out earlier this week, Kevin Harvick not all. I feel like maybe we've been overblowing his struggles. Maybe the media in general have been overblowing his struggles a little bit here. 7 top 10s in the first 10 races. Now 3 top 5s after Talladega last week. No, he hasn't been running out front, but it is what it is. The finishes are still there, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. Average finish of 10.3. That is good for third among all drivers this season, behind only Hamlin and William Byron. So has Kevin Harvick really been that bad? I mean, you can feel free to call me nuts because he's not winning races, but I could really see him going out and winning at Kansas this week. And I think any other year, right, you wouldn't be finding 9-1 odds on Kevin Harvick to win at Kansas. So among those favorites there, kind of like that is the value play.
I don't think he's having a bad year. The thing is, though, when you have a 9-win season like he did, you're going to have a down year. When you have no wins through 10 races now?
11? No wins through 10 races, exactly. But I think just the whole point of me kind of going over those stats is I don't think a lot of people realize how the Ford team has actually been quite consistent. You know, when you see him blow a tire, coming with 20 to go at Richmond, and that puts him behind the 8 ball, brings out the whole caution. That's what you remember, right? It's Kevin Harvick blew a tire. You haven't seen him win a race. Okay, where's Kevin Harvick? Some of these other tracks where he's been good at, they haven't had the finishes. And that kind of goes back to like you and I talking about when we're fading him versus kind of, you know, maybe this is a Kevin Harvick week, and he's been surprising us going both ways. So I don't think a lot of people, probably both fans and bettors alike, are necessarily aware that it hasn't all been that terrible. When you're talking about the third best average finish, 7 top 10s, 3 top 5s, maybe this is the week he goes out and wins a race finally. It's got to happen sooner or later.
Listen, I hope it finally happens this week. I just don't want to. I don't want to get my hopes up. But one guy who got his hopes up really, really high this week in the IndyCar series now, Colton Herrera. He starts on pole, which, Henry, how do you spell pole?
How do I spell pole?
Yeah.
Aren't there 2 different ways to spell pole?
Yeah, and he spelled it.
Yes, I picked the wrong way.
I just went. I just want to let you guys know that this man right here just spelled pole as in starting on pole, P-O-L-L. So you guys know.
Enough.
This is a college-educated man spelling
Mind you,
pole.
the last 3 semesters of my college have been all online. I don't know how to write anymore. As you literally fall out of your chair, you're just so excited to get to the IndyCar that you didn't even ask me about some props or anything.
No, yeah, I was
such an ass.
I'm not.
Listen,
I'm tired. I've been up since 6:30. Shut up. Okay, props.
No, you wanted to bust my nuts, is what you wanted to do. You Larson sexy boy. I'm going to go to race props while the host tries to compose himself here. There are a couple of finishing position matchups I did want to bring up. Going back to those race odds, right? Harvick's 9-1. Logano is at the same price. Harvick's favored in a matchup with Logano. So a little bit of, kind of support, I guess, for my play there, you could say. In terms of another matchup that I really like, Eric Almirola is a plus 108 underdog at DraftKings to Matt DiBenedetto. Almirola, again, maybe it's the Stuart Haas train for me or something this week. I don't know. But Almirola just over an average finish of 12 at Kansas. Not too bad, all things considered. 3 top 10s here. DiBenedetto, now I know the equipment has changed, obviously, for him since coming to Wood Brothers. His average finish in the last 6 races is only 24th. I can't say that I went back and looked specifically at last year or 2019, but this is only the last 6 races, so not some great runs there for Matty D. I like Almirola as an underdog in that matchup. That'll definitely be one in the article. And then I got to give you a group quiz, Zach, because I always do. So we are looking this week at Group E. He's got a couple names we talked about in DFS. All right. Eric Jones is the group favorite, plus 210. Bubba Wallace, plus 220. Ross Chastain, 3-1. Daniel Suarez, 3-1. Who do we like? Group E.
I have to say Bubba. I don't know. I feel like Bubba, with his equipment, as long as his team puts the car together right and they don't have any problems, I feel like Bubba is the choice there because of equipment. He's gonna get a top 5 here sooner than later. I don't know how it hasn't happened yet.
He said it himself that they're really close. I think 23XI Racing, just watching the races now, obviously pretty good super speedway racer, but they were strong last week. And one of these weeks, it's going to all kind of click for them, and they will shock somebody by having a much better than expected finish on probably just your typical 1.5 mile oval, of which Kansas is. So whether it's this week or not, I don't know, but I think that's an intriguing call there.
We have a couple coming up.
Yeah, in terms of average finish, it'd be Jones, who you'd have to go with, I guess, is the group favorite. I don't want to sleep on Daniel Suarez, though, at 3-1, all the way down there at the bottom. It hasn't looked particularly pretty, I guess, in the last couple, you could say, for Trackhouse Racing. But some of these tracks earlier in the year, they were fast.
Yeah.
I'd kind of be looking at the 99 maybe a little bit there, too. But I agree with you as well. I think Bubba is another good call.
Yeah, Trackhouse is kind of slowed for the time being. They really haven't made as much noise as since the Bristol race, really. Well, actually, no, Martinsville was the last one, and that's more because of what happened with their car catching on fire and whatnot. But as far as on-track stuff, it's been iffy.
Maybe this is the week they get it back, though. Who knows? Because we weren't expecting it at the Bristol Dirt, so maybe they pull a little rabbit out of the hat here. I'm assuming Travis Max didn't do anything bad this week, so he'll be on the top the tower there.
Yet
he's had his run-ins with penalties, but yeah. So interesting little quartet there in Group E that I'll be keeping my eye on as we go to write the betting preview as well. I think that's all I had for the Buschy McBusch Race 400. If you really want to go back to this IndyCar nonsense and your jokes.
Listen, we talked about who's the funnier one here. It's me, but Colton Herrera gets on pole, Pole, and wins from said pole to earn his 4th career win. Herrera's good. This is a guy who, ever since he was a rookie, he's been bad fast and starting it early.
Yeah, and he's got his dad calling the shots for him too, which I think is always neat when you have that dynamic father-son in any sport, racing included. But yeah, for a young gun, up-and-comer, I guess you could really call him in IndyCar, getting your 4th career win on the streets of St. Pete, holding off Joseph Newgarden to do it. And it really, Newgarden put some pressure on him, but he really never had anything for him. Herta dominated the race pretty much start to finish. Newgarden was a distant second, almost 2.5 whole seconds back. So really impressive stuff for Herta and for Andretti Autosport, which I know going into the Grand Prix at St. Petersburg on last week's show, you were one of the guys you were going to be watching was one of Herta's Andretti teammates. Didn't go so well.
Yeah, Rossi's still screwing me, I guess, with my picks and whatnot. But he races so much better than what he's actually raced. I don't even know what's going wrong. Like, it's just one problem after another. They're gonna correct it before too long here. This week, no. I feel like if he's gonna get a win, it's gonna be at a road course, and this week's not a road course, surprisingly.
Yeah, one of those few weeks, but they got 2 races though, so it's not a road course, but you're double dipping. So you got Saturday and Sunday. Wow. IndyCar in action at Texas Motor Speedway, which will be hosting the NASCAR Cup Series All-Star race later this summer. So we'll get our little first taste of Texas this weekend. And because it's not a road course race, also, Jimmy Johnson will not be in the field because he's only running the road course races in his rookie IndyCar season. It's sharing the 48 Chip Ganassi ride with Tony Kanaan, and it was another rough one for Johnson at St. Pete, I guess, to put it nicely, last week as he finished 5 laps down, couple incidents, couldn't restart the car after one of them. I guess apparently the tow truck can touch you in IndyCar and you're allowed to continue. Of course, that's not the case in NASCAR. So I to be honest with you, I had to see that play out to know that specific rule because I feel like the rules are always changing. But yeah, Jimmy Johnson, I don't know. I feel like it'll come eventually if he sticks with it and works at it, but not a great first 2 races for him, that's for sure.
No, it's going to be a learning curve for him and the Indy cars. But for right now, it's not coming. Who knows when it's going to show up for him in his talent, I mean, in an Indy car. But for right now, he's got to find it, and it might take a while for him to have that learning curve, just like when he raced in NASCAR. But
I think it speaks a little bit to just how steep the learning curve or the transition, if you will, is from stock car to open wheel. I think we're seeing
and vice versa
play out a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Because Dario couldn't do it, Danica couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Tony's the only one who I've seen. Tony Stewart, that is the only one who I've seen who could race both. If there's modern times, modern day NASCAR, modern IndyCar, because you can go back and look at AJ Foyt and a bunch of other guys who have won in both. But right now, who else?
In our lifetime, Zach saying. Us
yes.
New young bucks over here.
Young guns. We alluded to this. The Texas doubleheader this week. Who are you looking at?
Well, so in terms of past stats, at Texas, number 1, but also number 2, how things finished up at St. Pete last week. Simon Pagenaud, Team Penske. Maybe this is the week they finally get their stuff together here and get a win. But best average finish among all drivers in the last over their careers. This is at Texas 5.7, so nearly averaging a top 5 finish. He's a guy to watch. And then 2 others. One of them that I'll dig into a little more would be Scott Dixon and Will Power. They're the other 2 IndyCar drivers to average a career finish in the top 10s at Texas. So a couple names there, obviously both with great IndyCar success in the past. Will Power is a name, finished 8th last week at St. Pete, but compared to where he started, which was all the way back in 20th, he was the biggest mover on the day. So gaining 12 spots over the course of the St. Petersburg Grand Prix, or is it Grand Prix of St. Petersburg? I don't know. I can't even keep the IndyCar race name straight. But Will Power is a guy who ran very well last week. See that reflected in where he started versus where he finished. He'd be a guy who I think, if he qualifies well and starts near the front at Texas, is one to watch. What about you?
I'm going to take the Kiwi. I'm going to take Scott Dixon. Kiwis, New Zealanders, right? I don't know if I have that correct or not, but
I have no idea.
But I feel like
that's your rabbit hole and yours alone, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I'll hear about it if I'm wrong, and I'll be canceled. But Scott Dixon races very well here at Texas. He has a lot of wins. I think he won the last time they were here at Texas when they returned. I think it was Texas was the first race when they came back from the COVID break.
Yeah. Yep.
Scott Dixon will get a win, and then. You know something? Dartboard, Graham Rahal. He'll win the other.
All right. Rahal was fast. Early in St. Pete, he was fast. So I can get behind that 100%. I'm just curious now. I got to look and see where he stacks up in terms of Texas stats. Graham Rahal, average finish of 11.8. So that's not bad. It's like 8th among all drivers. One of those first few there outside of the average finish of below 10. So not bad at all. Colton Herrera in 2 career Indy starts, average finish of 12.5 at Texas. In terms of career wins, because Zach mentioned Scott Dixon there winning, he has the most with 4. Will Power is the only other Indy driver with multiple Texas wins, and he has 2. But you said Dixon's going to win a race, but we need to know is it going to be Saturday or Sunday? Because you can't just say he's going to win a race at Texas. You got to give us the day.
I hate you so much right now. Okay, you know something? Dixon Saturday, Rahal Sunday. Well,
What was it? What was it?
Dixon Sunday, Rahal. No, damn it, you messed me up now. Dixon Saturday, Rahal Sunday. There, learn how to spell.
And that concludes our IndyCar coverage ahead of Texas Motor Speedway.
And we're letting. Oh no, tomorrow will be a month out. We are 31 days away from the Indy 500. 31 days from the Coca-Cola 600. Mind
Biggest
you,
day of racing of the year.
Yeah, we're not that far out, boys and ladies. Okay, is there anything you want to add before we go?
I don't think so. I think we covered just about everything from the world of racing, really, that stood out to me this week. So it'll be fun to see if the Buschy McBusch 400 can live up to its name. And between that and the trucks and doubleheader and IndyCar, we got a 4-race weekend. So let's get to it. And of course, we'll have the picks and the bets and the DFS all coming out over on flurrysports.org too. So be sure to tune in for that over on the site.
All right. Usually I do the outro. Do you want to do the outro today since we're switching roles here?
Oh, sure. What else did we have to say? I just talked about the articles. We have
our own little section, ladies and gentlemen. We have our own little NASCAR section.
The own little NASCAR section. One of these days, I'm going to write an IndyCar article too. Maybe once we get through these finals, because clearly I need all the help I can get on my final exams when I can't spell correctly. Follow Zach on Twitter at ZT McAdoo. Follow the show on Twitter at Burnt Rub Racing. More big stuff coming up with this podcast too. So as we get access to more coverage, more news and whatnot, there very well may be a second show popping up in your podcast feed each and every week. So be sure you are subscribed and following Burnt Rubber Racing wherever you get your podcast so you do see that second episode. You don't want to follow me on Twitter when I can't spell. I think that's all we had. Anything else?
No one knows that. No one on Twitter can spell. So
that is a good point. So maybe I found my crowd and I didn't even know it.
Don't claim them. No.
Twitter is not my crowd. This has been episode 11, the Denny Hamlin episode of Burnt Rubber Racing. I got to go catch up with my Twitter peeps. We will talk to you next week.